Hi, and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this reading, I'm going to be looking at messages from your person. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the Carnelian, along with this card. Group 2 is the orange Calcite, along with this card. And group 3 is the Smokey Quartz, along with this card. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel into whichever group, maybe multiple groups or perhaps all of the groups that you are most drawn to, I'll give you a minute to make your selection and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead, which I do recommend using so that you can skip over me shuffling cards in between groups to clear the energy of the group I've just read for and tap into the energy of the group I'm about to read for. So again, I'll give you a minute. Please use the timestamps and we'll get into your reading. Hi, Group 1. You chose the Carnelian, along with this card, which we will take a look at the end. This will be some guidance from Spirit about this situation. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get kind of a feel of what's going on with your person right now, where they're at energetically in their life in terms of the connection. Okay, we have the Hanged Man, which is Pisces energy. The High Priestess, which is Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. 9 of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The World, which is fixed energy, Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, and Scorpio. Blossoming Abundance. The Thinking Man. And Healer of the Ages. So it definitely feels like your person is deep in thought right now, maybe taking some time to withdraw from other social circumstances, spending a lot of time alone, a lot of quiet time, even if they are, involved with other people, busy with other things. It feels that there's almost a distracted energy with this. where they're going through the motions of participating in whatever they need to do, taking care of their responsibilities, maybe trying to focus on work and just matters in the material world with this blossoming abundance. But this is almost leading to like intrusive thoughts with the thinking man and the hanged man, really unable to stop kind of ruminating or focusing on something that has occurred in the past in this connection. Maybe the ending, a completion that has occurred with this idea of the world, or this can also talk about some cycles or patterns that are coming to the surface, coming to their awareness, that are needing to be broken, are needing to be worked through and released as they pertain to this connection and also other aspects of their life. And this may be something that is a struggle to decide kind of how to deal with these things, how to tackle these issues, with the idea of the Nine of Wands, this wounded warrior energy right here, that this is very difficult, a battle that they are facing within themselves. They're very leery about making changes, and yet a lot of signs are definitely pointing to that being very necessary for them in order to create more balance and healing in their life in general, a desire to move into a better direction for themselves, to kind of create this sense of wholeness and wellness inside as well as out, and with this idea of wanting to break free from some patterns, rewrite the narrative for themselves in a lot of ways. There's also these thoughts about how these kind of patterns or wounds within themselves may have affected how they showed up in this connection in the past or up to this point in time. Maybe being a bit secretive, guarded, withdrawn, a tendency to kind of pull back into their shell when feeling very overwhelmed or confronted with even the possibility of reciprocity here with this healer of the ages. The love that you were giving to them in the past may have felt very nourishing, very nurturing for them, but it is something where they weren't necessarily confident in their ability to give you something that would have been satisfying and reciprocal, energetically speaking, spiritually, emotionally, romantically. This proximity to the intensity of the connection might have really stirred up some old wounds within them in terms of previous times in their romantic past where they had given of themselves, they had opened their heart up to the blossoming of love between themselves and another person, only to have to face some conflict, some chaos, things that really fell apart or came to a conclusion, wounds within them that they just kind of stuffed down and pressed forward that had been brought back up to the surface. It feels that in this place of contemplation, they're starting to recognize how a lot of these things, issues that they hadn't dealt with previously, have interfered with their ability to be very confident in what they are willing to give and are able to receive from you in this connection, and are also kind of surfacing in a lot of ways in terms of some shared themes or archetypes, maybe other experiences that are being mirrored to them in their reality. Places where they are missing opportunities because of this sort of need or inclination or reaction to withdraw themselves, to withhold affection, to be almost very skeptical or perhaps even a little bit paranoid with the thinking man. And this Nine of Wands, this wounded warrior card, almost like fearing getting hurt again in love or, losing out in other opportunities. And so this is almost like they're not taking a chance. They're not taking a risk. They're very much tied into their comfort zone in some manner. But they're starting to really, it feels like, recognize that instead of projecting blame, instead of, acting in this way and then kind of wondering why they find themselves consistently at a loss or kind of just in this mediocre sort of life, getting by, but, surviving, but not really thriving, essentially. Maybe in terms of material abundance, also in terms of the quality and nature of other kind of connections, friendships, maybe even other romantic partnerships that they are currently in or that they've had in the past. This feels like life review energy here as well, with this idea of the world where things are starting to take on a different slant for them from kind of a wider perspective. They are starting to recognize that maybe it is not everybody else's fault. A sense of feeling very shortchanged changed as well. That's a phrase that's coming through. So maybe this is something that your person would have said that feels very specific and nuanced, but it's almost a little bit of like a victim mentality that may have consistently just kind of been running them in circles, where opportunities are presented to them, things that they've been trying to manifest, that they've been hoping for, they've been praying for, and then they kind of have systematically sort of gotten in their own way with that, self-sabotaged or not made the most of opportunities for healing, for being proven pleasantly wrong by the way of connections or opportunities that turn into something very beautiful, as opposed to result in kind of disappointment and loss. So something has really, it feels like, shifted for this person, something that's happening in this internal landscape where it's a struggle to just kind of go through the motions of their material reality, and kind of seeing things from a different sort of perspective, or maybe it's not everybody else's fault, but something within themselves that really needs to change. This high priestess speaks to, keeping this very secret at this point in time, not really sharing any of this, feeling very guarded and uncertain if the changes that they're being guided to make in many ways in their life are trustworthy. Is this coming from a valid source? Kind of, where are these little intuitive hits and nudges? Where are these originating from? Almost feeling that they're getting tired of this mediocrity in some manner, starting to recognize how they've just been holding themselves back rather than being limited or thwarted by outside forces. It's really something internal within themselves, like a closed off energy in the heart space that has limited their experiences of love and partnership on many different levels in this life. So it feels like a pretty big turning point, a lot of cycles that they are recognizing, trying to kind of gain that strength and the wherewithal, maybe even strategize a plan forward as far as how to break some of these cycles, untangle themselves from some of the knots that they find themselves in. But it's still something that is, again, kind of gestating in that internal landscape right now. They're not really sure how to turn this new leaf in their life, and yet there is this urge to take a different approach, starting to see that repeating the same patterns and kind of behaviors and habits again and again in many different circumstances is just yielding the same results. And so it feels like, even with this high priestess and kind of the illumination from this altered perspective with the hanged man here, this almost feels to be kind of a little bit of divine intervention, or like their higher self taking action. That consciously at sort of the 3D level, at the ego level, they have been unwilling to recognize these things within themselves, kind of like running around in the same patterns, being stuck in the same rut. And so it's almost like extreme measures are being taken to kind of send the message home to this person. So even that might be very confusing for them, having this access, having this conversation with their higher self, which could be so outside of the realm of what they're used to focusing on, what they're used to thinking about. And so there's a guardedness with this, as far as kind of observing inside, internally, what's really coming through, trying to figure out how to do something about these revelations, these kind of peaks or glimpses that they are being given of a different way of being, some kind of clarity as far as cause and effect in their life up to this point in time, an urge to change, an urge to move forward, to kind of break free of these patterns and cycles, but still a little bit in sort of the observation and planning stage as far as what to do, what steps to take in the material world, wanting to kind of almost cling to whatever their reality looks like right now, but having a thirst for something more, a desire for more. The doorway has been shown to them that there's another way, there's a better way for them to kind of move through the world in general, and that can even relate to perspective they've been given as far as how they've moved in this connection up to this point in time, that there's something that they were missing, there's something that they had overlooked or had perceived from almost like an inaccurate or an incomplete vantage point. And so they're being shown that there's another way, there's something that they were missing in this circumstance, and kind of nudged in that direction, but it's really up to them to take steps forward. And it fills with all of this energy. It's still just in this internal realm right now. The blossoming abundance really speaks to gestation, seeds that are starting to germinate within them, but it doesn't feel that they're necessarily at that point of knowing how to take action in the material world to course correct, or feeling at the point of confidence or readiness yet. They're still a little bit guarded and kind of skeptical of all of this. Is this change reliable, or is it better to just kind of stay in the status quo and the rut in many levels that they've kind of developed for themselves? So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self now and see, what does your person want you to know, group 1. Okay, and they say, I want to protect you from my scars. So again, this is that energy of being very withdrawn, very kind of contemplating quietly within, not ready to make any kind of moves forward. A recognition as well on some level that there are some unhealed wounds within them that have been kind of causing them to act a certain way in terms of the intimacy and potential that was presented in this connection with you, in this situation with you. Maybe a tendency in general to only invest so deeply with people and then pull away when that point of deep connection, next level connection, the establishment of and forging of bonds that goes beyond the surface level. When they've been offered that opportunity, or situations have almost gotten to that level. This could be friendship, this could be other romances. It's like a tendency or a trend within them to only invest so deeply and then kind of run away from people. So kind of like a series of maybe very short-lived connections, a lot of burned bridges in this person's life. And they're starting to recognize that this is work in order to kind of course correct that they are needing to do on themselves, and wanting to almost stop or break this cycle in some manner, but being very withdrawn into themselves right now, not really sure how to do that, if it's even possible, if that's even the right way, kind of a solution for themselves, if that will change how they're feeling, and sort of their external experiences as well. They also say, in my dreams, I see a beautiful future with you. So on the other side of this healing that they are knowing that they need to do, that they're starting to really evaluate and contemplate, there is a desire to bring some kind of peace and restoration to you, to the connection, also with that idea of the healer of the ages, but it's something that they don't feel ready to do at this point in time. Somebody who's still in observation mode, almost quietly and somewhat stubbornly will just continue along in their old patterns and in their comfortable ways, in that energy of a rut, until they've reached a point of certainty, almost like an over-logical mind that's trying to plan everything out. Someone who may only take calculated risks forward, that while their comfort zone, while kind of operating from this place of wounding, may be yielding results that are minimally satisfactory to them, it's something that's familiar, it's something that's known. To branch out from that, to break away, to reach for something more or different, while that calls to them, there's also so much uncertainty about, is that too good to be true? Is it something that's sustainable? At least how they've been operating up to this point is predictable, it's familiar. And so there's a desire for something more, but not necessarily fully trusting in the ability, the present ability of themselves to generate new results out of new behaviors. They also say, my heart is wide open. So this is tying in with kind of this imagery here on the Healer of the Ages card with this golden orb over his heart chakra. So they may be undergoing a heart chakra awakening, something that's really coming to their attention. It's very difficult perhaps for them to sort of maintain the mask, the illusion, the life that they have been leading up to this point in time, because there's so much energetically that's shifting within them. This drive and this urge to make changes, to live more of a heart-centered reality, to act with more compassion for themselves and for others. A recognition that comes with it feels like a lot of guilt as well about ways in which they have acted in opposition to their heart or have been very uncaring or callous toward others in the past. A sense of knowing that they need to make amends, that's part of this healing and restoration journey, that it's not just one-sided in terms of them choosing new ways of being and other actions like breaking free from patterns and almost chains that they've been in, but on some level, in order to fully progress forward, it does require this energy of humility, bringing forth an apology, bringing forth explanations, presenting in a changed energy, that they are not exactly comfortable with that idea. They're not confident in sort of what can be achieved with that. They may still be equating full vulnerability as a sign of weakness, still clinging to, ideas that they must be stoic or to just kind of move through life and to not allow anyone to see them really be bothered or flustered by anything. And yet there's this process of activation that is happening very deeply from within that is changing their perspective. It is causing them to look deeply at themselves, look at how they've been moving through the world, the consequences of their actions, to look around at almost the energy of just surviving when they could be thriving, and that there's no one really to blame for this condition but themselves. And they also say, you make me smile when you cross my mind. So there's that thinking man energy where they are focused upon you, upon what has gone awry in this situation, their actions or inactions up to this point in time. This is the desire to move back into a place of restoration with you, to bring some kind of peace and healing forward. But on some level, it requires shifting that vibration within themselves first, moving away from like a pessimism or a guardedness, or dealing with some of these wounds within themselves that have unfortunately and almost unconsciously sort of inflicted that same kind of vibration on others. It's not to say this person is blameless in their actions and that their wounds are the culprit here, but it's really the idea of hurt people, and they're starting to really recognize that, how it's not everybody else's fault. The dissatisfaction, the loneliness, the isolation, maybe opportunities that wither or that have passed them by, but that a lot of this is really stemming from some deep insecurities within themselves, a pessimism and an overly guarded kind of air or atmosphere about them. And in order to, create that place of balance in their experiences in an outward sense, they're needing to really create that restoration internally first and foremost. They also say, don't wait, do what gives you joy. So they are recognizing here that this process of reaching that place of internal balance within, this may be a very prolonged process. They feel to be just not even on the brink of beginning that journey, but they're just starting to really look at this. And so this desire to bring some kind of restoration, to bring balance to the situation with you, that first needs to be cultivated in their life in general. This feels like a very stubborn energy, a very fixed energy, very, very slow to change, very slow and resistant to admitting that they are wrong or that they are in error, maybe in a lot of ways in their life. Someone who's really used to projecting blame or playing the victim almost. And so from the higher self, they're letting you know that this may take some time as they wrestle their ego, as they try to fight and find their way through toward this place of surrender and personal healing, toward breaking free from their own patterns that may possibly enable them to bring something towards you in the future by way of restoration, but they're encouraging you to, if you feel inclined to keep the door to your heart open a crack for this person in the event that they do the work on themselves and are able to, present you with something that is equitable, that is, coming from a high vibrational place, then by all means do that. But definitely from the higher self, they're saying that this may take a while, so don't put your life on hold if you're feeling that there may be other opportunities out there for you, or just actively holding space for this person is becoming more of a drain or an energetic depletion to you, then moving forward and opening yourself up to whatever other blessings the universe may have in store. Perhaps this person in a changed form in the future, or perhaps somebody else, that if this is what you are feeling called to do, then from the higher self, they're encouraging you to follow that internal nudge and guidance. And if it is meant to be, they will do the work and they will catch up when they can. They also say, I've decided to take action. So even that act of looking, of receiving this guidance, these downloads, these perspectives almost, that may be some very hard truths for this person to swallow. This is action in a new direction. This is a crucial first step toward breaking out of these patterns, is first admitting that there is a problem. It doesn't feel that they are at the point of taking drastic steps in the material world to distance themselves. I mean, they may be withdrawn a little bit from people and circumstances that, they're questioning. Something about their intuition is saying, this isn't really for my highest good. And so they're at kind of that stage of taking that inventory, but they may still be a little bit away from making those resounding changes in terms of lifestyle changes, breaking free from toxic patterns or toxic relationships in their life. But it is an action step where instead of just denying and running and projecting blame, they're starting to really look at things from a new perspective, starting to really entertain the possibility that maybe it's not everybody else's fault. What has occurred, what has gone wrong, the lack or the limitations, or the boredom or the doldrums that they find themselves in. Maybe this is their inability to act in accordance with their highest good, choosing the route of fear as opposed to the path of love, ignoring divine guidance that they've gotten in the past, postponing healing that may have needed to be done for quite some time. So even just the act of sort of changing that perspective, entertaining their life and their circumstances from an altered view, that is an important step in the direction of metamorphosis. They also say, you mean the world to me. So again, that reference to the world, a lot of patterns, a lot of stuck energy that they are in the process of inventorying right now, recognizing that what has happened with you and in this circumstance between the two of you, that this is reflective of some very unconscious or conscious patterns that they have just almost been very complacent to continue in. It feels that a lot of what has happened with you, this is not the first time that something like this, the same series of kind of triggers and reactions on their part, the same, it almost feels like the same sad story repeating over and over again throughout, maybe recent romantic connections, maybe a romantic history in general, where they're starting to really identify the similarities here, that what has happened with you, it has almost tipped them off to something. It has shifted something internally, vibrationally within them, where instead of just moving forward and burning the bridges as they go, there's almost this energy of kind of looking in the rear view mirror and saying, maybe it wasn't all the other person's fault. Maybe it wasn't only just the world is against me, or the universe is against me. I'm unlucky in love. Things are unfair. People are unkind or cruel to me. Maybe it's something on my part that is kind of generating chaos in these circumstances. Maybe I've been acting in a way that is callous and unfair. Maybe I've been thwarting opportunities for happiness and prosperity and abundance as far as love and other matters in life by choosing to kind of run in the opposite direction when these opportunities are presented. And so again, this recognition at this point in time of patterns, it takes observation of patterns, taking note of these things in order to be able to formulate steps to change and break free. And they also say, I can't stop spying on you. So that is that thinking man energy. You and this connection are on their mind. It feels like along with a lot of other things at this point, with that kind of openness of the heart chakra, a lot of emotions surfacing for them, a lot of, even kind of ghosts of the past that they are thinking about right now. Seeing, again, these patterns and these similarities between what has happened in the situation with you, trends and tendencies in their life, and really it feels like just open to being shown kind of the deeper root of these things, the connectivity of all of it. They may also be watching you on social media, again, just kind of that high priestess energy and the hanged man, just very quietly in an observation energy, not trying to plan anything, not trying to take a leap forward, but still very much having their attention on you, despite the fact that, they've closed down. It's kind of like peeking out from behind that shell, understanding that something about this connection, something about you, something about even the personal healing journey that you are on holds a key for them to breaking free of their own patterns in a certain way. Maybe the steps that you've taken to pick up the pieces of your heart after, whatever disappointment has happened in this situation. Vibrationally, they've sensed something that has piqued their attention to where they're almost looking for clues or like a strategy. How did you do it? How are you in a place of working toward peace and acceptance, moving forward in these circumstances? How is it that you are kind of taking the lessons out of this circumstance and, leaving sort of the pain and the disappointment behind? Not really being at the point of ready to kind of mimic that, acting as if until it becomes true, but just sort of taking it all in, sponging in everything that is coming through for them as far as these nudges, this guidance, a lot of signs and synchronicities they might be getting as well that, as these other sort of patterns are becoming apparent to them, their attention is then drawn back to these similarities, what has happened, these themes in their life, and how that even relates to the situation with you. So their attention feels to be very strongly on you in the present and also on the history between the two of you, what has occurred previously. And they also say, I'm seeing through the illusions. So again, that idea of identifying the patterns within themselves, shifting out of this place of only projecting blame and starting to really accept responsibility, or becoming more open to the possibility and the reality that it is not the world's fault. It's not everybody else's fault what has, moved in a direction of disappointment, what has fallen apart. It's the illusion of almost that they were without blame in circumstances, maybe a tendency to lead people on, or to invest in connections up to a certain point and then withdraw with no kind of notice, ghosting or blocking people, kind of a repeating series of patterns, and how that has led to a diminished capacity for enjoyment in a very fulfilling sense. Seeing those illusions, seeing those patterns is almost that first crucial step, and in time this can possibly then lead to solutions as far as what to try, what to implement, what to let go of in order to create different results for themselves and potentially change in the situation between you in the future. So I'm going to take a look now at this card. This will be the guidance from Spirit about this situation. We have fun and adventure, joy. It's time to play and get reacquainted with your childlike self. Open up to your sense of adventure and fantasy. You've been way too serious and moving through the motions. Snap out of it and have some fun. So a lot of references here to kind of like inner child wounding, inner child patterns, as kind of this person is in their own sort of process of identifying these trends and tendencies within themselves. You are guided at this point in time to kind of take a cue from what's going on with them and be open to seeing beneath the surface of your experiences up to this point in time, what you've been calling in, how you've been showing up in partnerships, maybe wounding wounding that hasn't been dealt with or healed completely, either in this situation with this person or in other circumstances in your romantic past, perhaps. That, the gift you can give yourself that is of the most value at this point in time is, following suit of recognizing patterns and taking action steps to change that, but also kind of balancing that out, this heavy lifting, this shadow work, that rigorous self-honesty and looking in the mirror. It's important to balance that with times of celebration, congratulating yourself for how far you've come along your path, understanding that we are all always a work in progress, and that it's nearly impossible to fully heal and detach and extract ourselves from all wounds. Healing is like an onion. There are layers. We reapproach the same issues at different points in our life. Different people kind of trigger our attention to looking at different aspects, things we thought we've resolved and moved on from, that resurface again. And so this is the idea of, being very diligent in that process, but at the same time, taking a break, taking a rest, detaching from that, taking time to really enjoy this present moment where you are right now, cultivating a sense of gratitude even for the difficulties that you've faced, for the contrast that those present, for times of joy, times of fulfillment, things that really give you a reason to smile. Without those difficulties, you would not be able to understand and savor the sweetness quite so precisely. And so this is definitely a time to focus on abundance, focus on things that are light-hearted. If you've been working to detach or, kind of move forward, you've been considering that in this circumstance, maybe for good, maybe for now. Part of that is also, not just trying to cut things away from your life, but also calling in that vibration of abundance that you are wanting to seek, spending time with people who uplift you, who remind you that you are perfect just as you are. You are more than enough. Spending time doing things that make you smile just for the sheer purpose of it, not to accomplish anything other than enjoyment. Laughter is a very healing medicine. It's part of this healing work as well. In addition to identifying patterns and cutting away and moving away from things that no longer serve us, we must also take time to fill those empty spaces, fill that void or vacancy that's been created with joy, with the things that we are wanting to call in and cultivate. So making that a priority right now in this process is definitely something that can benefit you moving forward. And if this person is watching, taking a cue from you, that can also really be that sort of beacon that points them in the direction of what they need to feel into vibrationally. Anything that's not in alignment with that sense of joy, that sense of high vibration within themselves, that is the clue as far as what needs to be distanced, what needs to be cut away in their life in terms of patterns within themselves, relationships they're participating in, behaviors, and you can really help them to, kind of find that discernment within themselves, to find that equilibrium within themselves by cultivating that within you first and foremost. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got Z, W, P, F, J, N, R, C, and L. So those are your messages, group 1. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I'm also running a sale in my Etsy shop now through the end of the month of February. Everything is marked down 15%. So if you have been considering getting a reading with me or purchasing any of those handmade items, now would be a good time to act upon that, as I don't often run sales. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there is different from here. I do pick a cards and general energy check-ins, but the topics that I cover are related to spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that out, and I thank you for your support there as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. You chose the orange calcite along with this card, which I'll take a look at the end. This will be some guidance from Spirit about the situation. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to get a feel for where this person is at energetically in their life in terms of the connection, what's going on with them right now. Okay, we have the Three of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Justice, which is Libra. Knight of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Page of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Financial constraints. Anxiety. And appreciation. So with these cards, I'm hearing the word existential crisis. So this person may be kind of struggling at this point in time. A lot that's weighing on their mind with this Knight of Swords and the anxiety here. a sense of a lack mentality as well with the financial constraints that is feeling to really stem from almost some kind of retribution, something that's kind of come back around to haunt them in a certain way, come back around to bite them with the idea of justice here. This can relate to almost like an indecisive energy, a wishy-washy energy, wanting to kind of have their cake and eat it too, which can be part of the energy of the Page of Wands, kind of just having their kind of a wandering eye. That can tie in with the Three of Cups as well, if there'd been like a third-party situation involved, or that this person just had a tendency to be a player, to kind of spread themselves very thin in terms of who they were giving their attention to, maybe somebody who struggles with monogamy in general, and it feels that if they have kind of made you feel like an option, they've sort of left you out in the cold, maybe chose to move in the direction of another person, or just again wanting to kind of play the field, keep their options open with that Page of Wands energy. That I'm also hearing the word bamboozled, that it's almost like their methods, their mode of operating has caught up with them in some way. They could find themselves very much in a tangle right now of a lot of kind of conflicting stories, a lot of things that are again sort of catching up with them, a bit of untruths, stories that they'd been telling with the idea of the Knight of Swords, having a very hard time kind of keeping that deception straight. There may have been circumstances where, again, like these lifestyle choices within themselves, this may have kind of added into a level of complication where, they're juggling multiple people, and almost like a house of cards that comes falling down, where they're finding themselves at kind of a lack. They're left all alone now at this point in time, and that this has been a very humbling experience for them, where they once may have thought that they were on top of a situation like this. They were almost kind of like a master of duplicity in a way, kind of not letting the right hand know what the left hand's doing, kind of a thing, that all of this has somehow come back around full circle, and that this could be kind of multiple people or situations that have fallen apart, have come out of balance in some manner, or it's a struggle to kind of keep the story straight, the tension's building, the pressure's building. There may have been things that kind of they slipped up about something, and that has really compromised sort of this balance or this equilibrium that they had going. And so they're almost fearing these consequences now. What's going to happen? Maybe people have given them ultimatums or have kind of left them. This can even be people outside of the realm of romance who have sort of found out about how this person has been operating, and they're not looking at this person in very high regard. This could be people that they had at one time respected or admired, who have become aware of this person's tendencies in some way, and that they're no longer wanting to invest with this person. They're no longer, again, kind of holding them in high regard. They're feeling very almost judged about this circumstance, but having nobody but themselves really to blame for this. A lot of maturing that is needing to be done at this point in time, a lot of kind of harsh truths or even sort of missed opportunities, people that might be kind of withdrawing their affections or attentions from this person because they've either been clued in about kind of this sort of this player energy, or again, people outside of the realm of romance who are now kind of judging them, or who are, disapproving of the actions that this person is taking, or there's a fear of being found out in some manner and losing or being at a loss, kind of a struggle to keep all of these moving parts in order. The stories are getting really crossed. It's getting very difficult to kind of maintain this sense of illusion. They may be something due to this kind of pressure, something that's really fallen apart, or that they know is needing to be balanced, some kind of a reckoning that has happened where they are aware of kind of their actions, and maybe just almost very kind of like self-serving motives that they're needing to kind of answer for all of this. And it's putting on this pressure to where they could be numbing out at this point in time, using substances, or just in some way trying trying to kind of avoid the reality that something must be balanced in this situation, that a way that they've been moving through the world up to this point in time is not sustainable in the long term. A sense of almost falling from grace with the idea of appreciation here that may have already started to happen. People may already start to be kind of pulling away from this person, or there's already been kind of like people have found out about each other, or this tendency to just kind of be very kind of distracted and kind of just moving almost like a bee going from flower to flower kind of. It feels like the energy with this, that it's all sort of caught up with this person. They may be, even this has been like a tendency or trend for them, and maybe they're older now at this point in time, and that this is not as effective of a strategy as it once was, and that it's kind of like a humbling experience for this person. It feels like they could be on the brink of like a tower moment, or they're already sort of experiencing that, or what was once so easy to kind of maneuver and manipulate, somebody who's really good with kind of words, or sort of twisting truth, twisting reality in some manner. It's not as effective for them as it at one point was. They're kind of just like standing all alone in that illusion that they've created. And so it feels to be almost this point of like things falling apart for them in order for balance to be restored in some manner, that some way of moving through the world. And maybe all of this is kind of like a form of vindication for you. If you'd been left with sort of this feeling of being played by this player, you know, you were feeling very much out in the cold, discarded, made to feel like an option, for example, then again, it's this idea of kind of like that this person's, the game they were running has come to an end in some manner, and that they are now kind of finding themselves at this crossroads point of needing to change in some capacity. Something's needing to really be balanced out within them, or it's almost like what they've been doing to other people has now been done to them in a sense, to where they are now faced with this reality of kind of ways in which they're needing to grow up, they're needing to mature, they're needing to, you know, stop, or it's no longer sustainable to just kind of have this energy of kind of flitting around from here to there, you know, kind of just telling a lot of different people what they want to hear, being very, you know, almost inconsiderate of other people's feelings, being very kind of like self-serving, almost kind of narcissistic in this sort of trend or this behavior. And it feels to be something where the walls are really closing in on this person, or it's already starting to kind of crumble and dismantle. And there's a lot of anxiety and fear within them that this is the way that they've kind of built their identity. They've built their personality around this. This has worked and functioned for them up to a certain point in time. And without all of this behavior, without this ability to just kind of morph into whoever somebody needs to be and kind of tell people what they want to hear, and be just kind of going from situation to situation, without all of that, what are they left with? Faced with a lot of wounds then within themselves that may have kind of led to them sort of being very non-committal, very kind of flighty or flaky, or sort of in and out, you know, not participating in very kind of deep connections, but seeking only just sort of like this superficial gratification here. That something with that is kind of coming to a halt. It's coming to a conclusion. That's run dry. I'm hearing the wells run dry in a certain extent, to where then that journey work begins as far as discovering who they are, what they need to kind of balance and repair within themselves, this process of kind of building character that they may have not been doing up to this point in time, or they'd been kind of acting out of balance, out of alignment with what would be considered like in good taste or in good character. So again, this idea of like an existential crisis that this person is sort of going through right now, it's looming, it's coming into their reality, it's here, it's very present, and a process of almost like needing to rebalance in some manner what has been very lopsided or one-sided, or almost like self-serving on their part for a very long time, that it feels like however they behaved in the connection with you, this is just like a trend or tendency with them in their life, and it's all kind of catching up to them now. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want you to know right now, group 2. Okay, and they say you bring joy into my life. So in this process of like a reckoning where they are seeing that what they've invested in, maybe having made you feel like an option, choosing to move in another direction or choosing to remain very non-committal, it's something which has led to a lack of substance in their reality, to where they're feeling very almost isolated at this point in time. Like what was kind of bringing them this surface level or this superficial contentment, not even joy, but almost just relief or distraction in some way, maybe from the sense of lack within themselves, that they had never really cultivated a sense of self that was lacking, that you represented a fullness and a contentment that was almost at odds with what they were truly holding within. Not that it's an excuse for how they treated you or what they did in the past, but it's almost the sense of the fullness and the abundance that you represent and that you hold within and that you emanate and that you are is such a contradiction to how they feel inside, that as part of like a trend or tendency within themselves was to just kind of run from that, to sabotage that, feeling very unworthy of that on some manner, on some level, and kind of making the choice to gravitate toward people and circumstances and behaviors that reinforced that sense of unworthiness that they hold within. And they say, my heart is wide open. So this card came up in group 1. So if you felt inclined to watch that group, there may be messages for you there as well. But this can speak to, this heart chakra activation that's happening, an awareness that this person is coming to, maybe through some harsh kind of truths, the reality sinking in, that being a very hard pill to swallow as far as what their behavior, what their tendencies, what their priorities up to this point in time, what that has really yielded for them, as far as almost like a lack of stable and quality connections, foundations, something where they had been very almost self-serving or selfish in their motives, and that it's a very stark reality to look in the mirror and face this, to have all of these different, it's almost like the idea of different plates that they've had up in the air, like somebody who's really been juggling a lot of things or a lot of versions of themselves, and all of this is really collided in kind of a messy fashion. People finding out about one another, the masks coming off, the illusions kind of crumbling down, and the reality of the place where this person was operating out of, this very low vibrational place, this very self-serving vibration. It's something where they can no longer hide behind that. It's something where, as that's starting to fall apart, it's opening them up to the possibility that something needs to change, that this tendency or this lifestyle, this behavior is no longer sustainable for them. It is not an option to continue to go down that road, or if they choose to go down that road still, it's going to yield even less and less results for them than it had in the past. Like the time of change is here, and it's something, even with that Justice card, that like divine intervention is now taking place, that it's been too much, it's been too long, something has to give, something has to quake. This is almost like somebody who's accrued a lot of almost negative karma in their life, or they've just been putting out a lot of kind of bad vibrations, negativity, just very like self-serving kind of energy, and it's all sort of coming back to them. It's opening their perspective at this point in time of they have no one else but themselves to blame for this circumstance. They may be operating in a little bit of kind of a pity party right now, a lot of depression and anxiety, these harsh truths and realities, not really being sure what to do, almost just forced to kind of watch as the house of cards really comes down, as these masks kind of crumble and fall away. But from that place of the rubble, it is possible then to rebuild in a better direction, to have that sort of perspective, to really experience and to know what that feels like, maybe to walk in the shoes of people such as yourself that they have put in this circumstance, because this has now been done to them, as an example, and it's opening their perspective to the necessity of change. It is sending that message home very acutely, because they are now on a visceral level feeling what they have put other people through, feeling what they have put you through in terms of that kind of current of emotion and experience. And they also say, you made my life a waking dream. So again, more of that energy of like openness, waking, and awakening that is happening. A lot of tower moments for this person, kind of a dark night of the soul that they are being pushed into at this point in time. They're looking back on the situation with you, really being reminded of that as they are, kind of being faced with some of these, the crumbling illusions, sort of the dishonesty that's coming back around to them. And it's waking them up from this dream, almost like they've been sleepwalking through kind of life and through their reality, thinking that their way of operating, that this was something that could be sustainable forever, that this is, maybe a lifestyle that was sustainable forever, if this is somebody that was just really into like partying and superficial connections and just remaining very unattached and just kind of burning bridges as they go, that it is just this dream that it was not going to catch up with them, that they could just do this forever. So some kind of reckoning has happened, or there's like a fear of this, that maybe they've had some kind of a scare, some kind of a health scare, something has happened to people around them even, or is starting to really catch up with them, where they are recognizing what they were investing in. It was just an illusion. It was not anything of substance. They haven't been focused on building character within themselves, and kind of their actions are up to this point have been almost in direct contradiction to kind of the life that they want to lead, to what true abundance and kind of the idea of like a dream come true is. That it's almost like they're in a waking nightmare at this point in time, and sort of wondering how do they shift this, how do they move out of this energy, and starting to recognize this is all kind of the result of their own actions. They also say cutting fake people out of my life. So again, a lot of relationships may be crumbling. The masks and facades of other people, other situations they've chosen to participate in are coming down. This can really be that energy as well of the tables having been turned on this person. They are now acutely aware through personal experience of what they've put you through, of what they have had a tendency to put people through in general. And it is helping them through these harsh truths and through these harsh realities to understand what they have been investing in, be that relationships, people, types of connections they've been seeking out or allowing into their life, that really hold no substance, hold no long-term value, are more of just like a detriment to their well-being, people that don't have their best interests in mind, maybe people that were just kind of fair weather friends, fickle people that they had in their life. And as the chips are down, they're finding themselves very alone in that. They're starting to really appreciate on a deep level sort of the seeds that they have planted are not yielding nourishing fruits at this point in time. And all of this is helping to really provide them with this perspective of things they are needing to do moving forward to kind of create some sort of balance, restoration in the situation, to move in a different direction. But it's bringing them with a sense of panic, almost like, is it too late to change my life? How do I move on from this? Not expecting that it would be such a harsh truth, such a harsh reality coming in all at once for them. And they also say negative thoughts get us no results. So definitely looping around in kind of the thick of it, in this negativity right now, and a lot of drama and chaos that may be going on, feeling very alone, very despondent at this point in time, not really being sure how to move forward from any of this, just needing to kind of face this and ride this wave of what they have put out returning to them. So a very kind of heavy and dark period that they may be at right now. You may be feeling this person kind of pulling on your energy, just searching, reaching for a light, reaching for a life raft in some capacity. So this may be a good time to kind of set up those healthy energetic boundaries and barriers, understanding that, it's beautiful to send people love, but we can all only save ourselves. You can't fix this situation for this person. They are almost needing to very acutely sort of feel the repercussions of what they have done up to this point in time. Only then can they truly appreciate and be able to decide for themselves moving forward a different vibration to cultivate, different types of seeds to sow in their life and in their dealings with other people in order to harvest a different type of result moving forward. They also say, don't give up on me. So somebody who may be definitely in panic mode, again, kind of clinging, reaching for your energy despite what may have happened, despite how they made you perhaps feel like an option, or kind of, discarded you, left you by the wayside, felt that they would find something better elsewhere and chosen to move in another direction. As all of that has come crashing down, it's almost like they're reminded of this contrast that you represented, that you were one of those lights that they chose to try and extinguish or to move away from. And in their kind of darkest hour, there's almost like this plea for you to help them, for someone to help them through this, when all they can really do is just, again, kind of ride that wave, let it play out. And they also say, don't wait. Do what gives you joy. So another reference to joy there. So that might be your name. That could be a confirmation for somebody. And this is really also, this came up as well in group 1. So another confirmation there that there could be additional messages for you. But it's also this idea of, like, from the higher self, they're letting you know that this process of whatever is needing to be kind of karmically balanced for this person, universally balanced, it's going to have to run its course. And the idea as well of, if they're pulling on your energy, or, you're kind of picking up the residue of this, to detach from this, make sure you set up those healthy kind of energetic boundaries. Allow the universe to teach this person a different way of being. Don't allow what's happening with them, the heaviness and kind of the chaos, to infringe upon the joy that you've been seeking to cultivate within yourself, the ways in which you've tried to pick up the pieces and create peace for yourself out of this situation. This person's storms will calm when the time is right, and there are certain lessons that they are meant to learn through these experiences, through these cycles. You again may be very inclined to help, sending them love, sending them hopes of healing, prayers for well-being. All of these things are very appropriate. Those are very noble. Those are very good things to do, but just checking in with yourself and making sure that, whatever they're kind of doing as far as reaching for you energetically is not in some way draining you, or you're not absorbing too much of this like heaviness, this density, this anxiety, this depression, this panic. If you are feeling that, calling in Archangel Michael to help you kind of cut those cords of attachment, send that energy back to this person with love, shield yourself from that. Keeping your vibration high, focusing on your own abundance, on your own joy, understanding that, they are in this process almost, I'm hearing a washing machine, like a spin cycle. And so that's sort of what's happening right now. They are needing to go through this process of kind of answering for the energies that they've been putting out and the actions that they have taken up to this point in time. On the other side of that will be this purification, the opportunity to do better, to be better. But at this point in time, they really must go through this process on their own. There's important things that they are needing to learn and feel and experience from this. And they also say, please forgive me. So again, through this experience of what's happening with them at this present time, it's really bringing them back to how they treated you, how they've treated a lot of different people. They are very acutely feeling on different levels and in different ways what they have put other people through. This is someone who in time may come forth with that amends. This may be the process of dismantling that helps them to change their life in a profound manner. And it's almost like as they're going through this and, they're being reminded of kind of where this may have stemmed from, how this narrative or this experience is very similar to what they've put you through or put other people through. It's almost like very silently they're asking for and begging for kind of like this reprieve, like, forgive me, get me out of this situation. But again, it's like a cycle needs to complete. It needs to kind of be shaken up in some manner so that something new can be created and forged for them going forward. And they also say it's just easier to wear a mask. So definitely the illusions that they had been hiding behind, that it was just easier to kind of deflect this work, to keep going through the motions up to this point in time. But it's almost like the universe saying enough is enough of that. The masks are needing to come off. These things are needing to be crumbled. If they had chosen the easy route of just continuing to go through the motions, being, the burning the bridges and being very kind of self-serving, self-indulgent. This is divine intervention that is coming to kind of forcibly send them down the hard road, a road that they had been given opportunities to choose and had not, that the easy way will no longer function for them. And so on the other side of this process of kind of breaking down those masks and those illusions is the potential of rebuilding more into an authentic direction, something that, kind of puts out better vibrations and therefore is able to magnetize in different kinds of experiences. So a deep process at this point in time of things kind of being broken down for this person in their life and their reality and their internally in terms of their relationships and kind of what they're experiencing in the material world. But on the other side of that is the possibility to rebuild and change and do better moving forward. So I'm going to take a look at this card now. This will be the guidance from Spirit for you about the situation. And we have intuitive wisdom, gifts. Honor your innate ability to see psychically and trust your gut feelings. Trust your guidance and the vibrations you feel. When you truly step into your abilities, all of your senses rush in. Look into expanding your gifts by taking classes, journaling, meditating, and listening to your inner voice. So you may have been getting some intuitive hits to distance yourself from this person, the heaviness you may be feeling, a lot of panic, anxiety, even like ascension symptoms, or, just kind of a general sense of unease that has been surfacing within you, and you've really been kind of unsure, where is this emanating from? It is unrelated to circumstances going on in your material reality. It can definitely be kind of that byproduct of this person reaching for you in their darkest hour. You are sensing, you are picking up energetically on what they are going through, despite the masks that they might be putting on to try and almost desperately cling to this life or version of themselves that they've been operating as, that is being almost like torn away. You are able to sense and see and feel beneath that to what's really happening below the surface. And if it's something that is really becoming very, very arduous for you, if it's something which is, kind of impacting in an unpleasant manner your quality of life, it's a distraction in some way, it's draining to your energy, it's a heaviness that is just, again, not in alignment with what's going on in your life. It's not serving you. It's not productive to what you're trying to do and cultivate, maintain, and accomplish in your world. Then following that intuition, tracing that those sensations back to their root, calling in assistance by way of your ancestors, your angels, Archangel Michael, your spirit guides, even this person's spirit guides, and saying, please take this energy and return it to its source. Transmute this into something more positive. Send the person love, wishes of healing, well wishes, and do what you need to do to protect your energy so that they can go through this very important cycle on their own, which, regardless of if you hold and carry this energy for them, they're still going to have to go through it. There's no almost like getting away from this. There's no deferring that. But at the same time, as much as you might care about them still, as much as you may be very sympathetic to their plight, very kind of empathetic to what they're going through, at the same time, the important thing is that you move forward towards your own abundance, allowing sort of the universe to have its way with this person. And on the other side of these changes, if they choose to take different kinds of actions and to come forth to you in a healed and different vibration, then that's something you can entertain and consider at the time when that occurs. But in the meantime, it's almost like it's at a disservice to yourself at this point and it's unfair to have to harbor this energy and kind of diminish what it is you're cultivating, working toward, and to just kind of sap and drain your attention and your energy trying to deal with and kind of understand and dissect what it is that's going on, why it is that this is happening. So cord cutting meditations can be very helpful at this point, shielding yourself, sea salt baths, just whatever you do for kind of psychic protection, energetic protection at this point in time. It feels very crucial because of what's happening with this person, through kind of your dealings with them, your energetic bond, your, maybe just who you are as a person, being very intuitive, very psychic, very empathic. You're picking up on this, you're feeling this, that's radiating out from them, regardless of what they are making known about it publicly or how much they're trying to hide that or wear a mask. The energy speaks for itself. It doesn't lie. And so it's very important important for you to follow your intuition in terms of the steps you are guided to take, to insulate yourself, to distance yourself, to disconnect from the situation and from this person until these energies balance themselves out, or just in general, so that you can move forward towards your own peace and contentment on your path moving forward. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. We've got K, V, F, T, H, Z, E, and I. So those are your messages, group 2. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I'm also running a sale in my Etsy shop now through the end of the month of February. Everything is marked down 15%, so if you have been considering getting a reading with me, or you've had your eye on one of the handmade items that I sell, now might be a good time to act upon that, as I don't often run sales. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there is a little different from here. I do pick a cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the subject matters that I cover are related to spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. And I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, group 3. You chose the Smokey Quartz, along with this card, which I will take a look at the end. This will be some guidance from Spirit for you about the situation. So I'm going to start with some tarot and oracle cards to kind of dig into the energies that are going on with this person right now in regards to the connection or even just their life in general. Okay, we have the Page of Cups, which is water energy, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. Strength, which is Leo. Knight of Swords, which is air energy, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. Queen of Wands, which is fire energy, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Yin Yang. Attachment. And victory. So this Knight of Swords came out in group 2, so if you felt drawn to watch that group, there could be additional messages there for you as well. But the Strength card is really bringing to mind this idea of self-mastery, that a battle that this person may have been fighting for some time, kind of a difficult or arduous chapter of their experience, learning to kind of detach or move on from some toxic cycles and behaviors, maybe even detach from karmic partnerships, and that can be friends, family, or romance, or even kind of an attachment with the idea of Knight of Swords to perspectives, self-talk, kind of a lack mentality, maybe even a fear of intimacy, ways in which they'd been almost kind of denying their true feelings for you, their sense of cohesion. It's what is the word that's coming through with this idea of the yin yang here. This is kind of like a counterpart energy, so somebody who may have really been running from the connection, fighting against the connection. This victory card brings to mind like Six of Wands energy, that in some way they have surrendered a battle that may have been going on for quite some time, about something that was very activating about this connection, about the experience with you up to this point in time, kind of picking the pieces up as well in their own sort of life and reality out of a series of challenges, facing and breaking free from some patterns within themselves in order to create a greater sense of balance and restoration between the energies they're putting out, the actions they are putting forth into the material world, standing in their authenticity, standing in their personal truth, operating from an energy of love, love of self, love of others, in order to yield different kind of results from the quality of relationships that they are having, the types of experiences they are calling into their world, into their reality. This person with this idea of attachment and that she's holding that little mask there, this can really speak to a tendency they may have had to people please in the past, placate others, kind of just chameleoning themselves through life, being a different person for everyone, running from some aspects of self as well, a lot of shadow work, maybe even some inner child healing and wounding that had not been tended to up to this point in time, that they are actively engaged in that process. This may have been something where they almost, with this kind of chain on her wrist leading to the post there, they may have had no choice but to start to do this, again, as kind of like things in their life may have come kind of crumbling down, where it's they were being confronted with these patterns. There was nowhere left to run, nowhere left to hide from these things, and so it's almost like they've come through this place of fighting, change, fighting the inevitable, being very resistant, projecting blame, operating out of maybe a lower density vibration, a lot of unhealed wounds and shadows within themselves, taking control, becoming very assertive and very working on their confidence to kind of face and successfully master these battles or these challenges within themselves, within their external world. This feels to be the energy of somebody who's starting to turn a new leaf. They're starting to feel better internally. This work that they are doing, maybe that they've been forced to do, they've had no other choice to do. It's almost like they've hit rock bottom. They've called out, and the divine has answered with this kind of nudge to go deeply within. Someone who may have been really accustomed to seeking like validation outside of themselves is learning to fill their own cup. They are learning to become that love that they have been seeking. They are finding that wholeness and well-being within themselves, which is resulting in kind of a different vibration that they are then sort of projecting out into the world, calling in more wholesome and healthy experiences for themselves. This process of kind of moving away from toxic or limiting beliefs or lifestyles or patterns, behaviors, even kind of relationships that they felt very duty bound to, very obligated to, but that kept them almost stifled or stuck. It kept them operating in this energy of illusion. They're taking their power back from those circumstances, standing up for themselves, standing their own ground, having those difficult conversations with people, standing more in their own kind of truth and authenticity, even if this is something that the people around them don't necessarily agree with that, even when these are difficult conversations to have. A lot of truth telling that is going on here. Rigorous honesty with self that is a theme at this point in time. This may even just be a process of like internally beginning these changes, having come full circle with something, coming to a greater understanding about what needs to give, what needs to shift, and they're starting to dismantle these in the material world. Things that may have been dismantled for them by the universe. This process of almost that internal balancing, this kind of inventory within, recognizing and breaking free of patterns. This may have been something they've been working on for a while or had been forced to work upon. It feels that they are starting to project this out more into material reality. It's moving out of that place of just a seed of potential that is existing within, and it's almost bursting forth. It's like the energy of a glow up almost, with kind of all of this sort of fiery, sort of golden energy here. That's something about how they are moving through the world is changing. They're starting to see the light at the end of this tunnel. Any kind of heaviness, anything that they felt very burdened by, it is becoming more of a manageable task. They may be starting very small. It's very new territory. They still have a lot of room to improve, a lot of growth that is necessary, but it's leaning more into the direction of coming into greater alignment with who they are being called to be at the soul level. What is, really kind of the healthiest seeds to plant that will yield kind of the most rewarding bounty or harvest for them. So this can be choosing different friends, choosing different things that they are participating in, choosing to kind of move away from a lack mentality, or any kind of fear of standing in their authenticity, ways in which they've kind of stifled or tried to stub out their own light in order to kind of make other people happy, or out of a sense of almost questioning the value of who they are as a person. Things that could have been really triggered or instigated through this connection. Almost like you mirroring to this person the greatest potential of what they could step into, that also highlighted all the obstacles that stood in the way of that, all the untruths, all the illusions and the mythology that sort of stood in the way from fully embodying that, which they may have run from that in the past, sort of pushed this away. There's this energy of surrender here, surrendering to that reality, that the best of what you have seen in them, even if this was something that you never really spoke to them about, it's just they could see it reflected in your eyes almost, and that was both very alluring and very terrifying at the same point in time, because it brought to their attention everything that stood in the way of the actualization of that potential. It feels a lot of those obstacles have been brought down, or they are starting to actively dismantle them things may have been brought down, and they're kind of continuing that work of voluntarily removing things and people and certain kind of mindsets or vibrations or belief systems out of their life in order for more of who they are and their wholeness to emerge, learning to forgive themselves, learning to be compassionate for themselves, leaning more into seeing vibrationally what has been shifted or awakened, the light that you sort of reflected to them. They're starting to recognize where that exists within them. So again, this idea of kind of having turned a corner, turning a new leaf in this situation, to where it's like if this is somebody who had been burning bridges previously, they're now rebuilding bridges. Maybe not trying to mend between other people yet, but building in a new direction, creating a new kind of structure, a new way, or at least being motivated to sort of come beyond this energy of like heaviness and loss and a sense of feeling very stuck. This is proactive energy. This is the energy of momentum, moving in the direction of that heart space. They may have had some kind of heart chakra awakening, that it was very much a struggle to lean into, a lot of harsh truths and realities that were being mirrored to them, a level of feeling that they may not have been used to, a sense of almost this unconscious void within them that they had become very attached to. And so even though, it sounds counterintuitive, the idea of like who would run from joy back into this sense of void, it's all that they've known. And so they really almost, it's like they shied away from your light. They shied away from the light that you reflected to that place within them where it dwells as also. This is someone who's now kind of taken their power back. They're in the process of taking their power back, standing more in that authenticity, finding that light and that hope within themselves, moving in a different direction, speaking loving words, speaking words of affirmation to themselves, changing how they are kind of interfacing with other people, being a lot more discerning as far as who they are exchanging energy with, who they are linking their reality up with. Subtle changes, a lot that has happened in the internal realm that's starting to really blossom out into their material circumstances. And it's something to where as they're stepping more into alignment with this truth and authenticity, like this self-mastery, the most complete version of them, the best version of them that holds both light and shadow within, has compassion for both of these aspects of self, having come through some difficulties and storms, and is cultivating like a sense of gratitude for those lessons, for those experiences, and also the wisdom and discernment to make different choices moving forward. That this is somebody who's arcing their life, their narrative of their life into a new direction. And it's something where this may be a long-term battle between the two of you, where they've been very resistant to this, resistant to change, resistant to this connection. But it's almost like somebody who's yielding into that, even if they're not consciously pinpointing that, encounter with you or the experience with you as kind of that catalytic moment. From the higher self, they're almost being pulled back in your direction, magnetized at least toward that crossroads point where you showed them a different way. You offered them a glimpse of again, this light within them that they had stifled. They had not been acting in accordance with the greatest kind of presentation to that outwardly, and also a recognition inward. All of that has shifted, which opens up the possibility and potential to kind of shift circumstances between the two of you as well in the future. So I'm going to get some messages from their higher self and see, what does this person want you to know right now? Okay, and they say, fire up this flame that's burning between us. So this is definitely activation energy. If you resonate as a twin flame, this can be that confirmation of a person who has been in resistance to either that concept, the intensity of the bond between the two of you, or what has really been activated or sparked within them in terms of a personal ascension journey, spiritual awakening, heart chakra activation, all of that. They're in this place of surrender to that, participating with that, moving with the flow of change that is happening with them, taking steps in the material world, having taken substantial steps inside themselves to change that internal landscape. They're making different choices. They're wanting more for themselves. They're feeling empowered. They're feeling better. They're coming to that place of restoration and a realization of their own innate wholeness within, learning to forgive themselves for the version that they were operating at in the past, and stepping into and fully embracing the reality of that best version of self that they saw mirrored within you and kind of reflected into who they are as well. They're moving into this place of really owning that, of believing in that, realizing that is true, reaching for that, striving to be that, as opposed to kind of the limitations or the more shadowy or distorted or lopsided version of who they were previously. And they also say, nothing in this realm can stop our destiny together. So this is that Queen of Wands energy being very magnetized back towards you, drawn very unconsciously, pulled in your direction, seeing a lot of signs and synchronicities that are guiding them back to you, a lot of reminders. You may be heavily on their mind at this point in time as well. Almost like as they kind of overcome these challenges, as they kind of are in this place of sort of battling themselves, and in these points of victory, they are reminded of you in some manner. They feel very energetically close to you, even if the situations that they're dealing with have nothing to do with anything that's gone on in your life. It's unrelated to the dynamic between the two of you. It's almost like in these points of elation, when they feel on top of the world, when they feel they've really mastered something or vanquished something within them that was really a struggle for a very long time, maybe even something they didn't know about, like an unhealed wound or an attachment, that they have greater awareness and clarity of, that they break free from that. It's almost like they're leaning into your energy, wanting to share this victory with you, wanting to celebrate that with you, share, tell you almost what they have done, what they have accomplished, what they have achieved. And it feels that this has happened on several occasions, to where now they're starting to really question why they are drawn to you, why you're the person that they are wanting to, really kind of enjoy the spoils of victory with. And it's causing them to also sort of reframe how they are viewing the nature of the connection, the intensity of this bond and the spark between the two of you, what that's activated and kind of awakened within them in terms of their own journey of metamorphosis. Rather than being very resistant and sort of pushing away, there's this urge, this curiosity to kind of know more, to participate more. They're starting to experience kind of the blessings, as opposed to so much of the friction out of this experience energetically with you. They also say, my heart is wide open. So this card came up in all three groups. So this reading definitely feels like something that this could be one almost like concurrent story, because each of these groups was very different. So this can be something where, just depending on what kind of resonates with you, you're obviously all on different kind of timelines. You're at different phases of your journey. Your person's on different phases of their journey, but it feels that on some level, each of these three kind of stages is something that either has taken place or will take place at some point in kind of this long narrative, this story between the two of you. But it's, again, this idea of this heart chakra opening, this heart chakra activation, this awareness of a different way to do and be in the material world, kind of a struggle, a resistance to that, both this profound love and also mirroring kind of all the blocks and barriers to living from that heart-centered awareness. So definitely a struggle, a resistance to that, to doing the work, to moving away from all which sort of obscures or is not in alignment with that heart-centered living within themselves. They may have run for a period of time, tried to kind of stuff that down, numb it out, ignore it. Having been really activated and changed and awakened through the dynamic with you, it feels that it was harder and harder to sort of fit back into that old way of being, those boxes that they may have kind of put themselves into, or kind of the life that they were living. In this case, it's the energy of sort of breaking free from that, yielding to that process of change, allowing themselves to be guided by their heart as opposed to the projections of other people, people-pleasing, fear-based reality, choosing the path of love, choosing to kind of lean into this process of metamorphosis and change, rather than kind of cling to all which is seeking to kind of escape or leave their life, or which they are being guided to move beyond. They also say, don't give up on me. So another repeating card here. This came out in group 2 as well. So again, this idea that all 3 of these groups may be in some way tied together. So if you felt inclined to watch either of the other groups, maybe all of them, there could be messages or kind of a larger sort of idea of the nature maybe of future events that could take place, or kind of just a perspective of the nature perhaps of some aspect of your journey with this person. But this, in this context, for this energy of this group, this is really speaking about the idea of changes that they are already making that are not just in this realm of contemplation. They are already taking action steps to course correct, heal a lot of areas of their life, rebuild in a different direction, move out of stagnancy and kind of lower vibrations. And this is something where they're being pulled back in your direction. For a lot of you, they may be giving some serious consideration or making their way back towards you with the interest of trying to provide some kind of healing, some kind of an apology, some offer of restoration to try and rebuild the situation. Definitely having gone through and still going through this process of metamorphosis within themselves, that like the deeper that they lean into this, the closer that it brings them to the ability to present you with something energetically and in a material sense that might actually be of benefit to what you can build moving forward, that it can help the two of you to break out of whatever cycle or pattern you find yourselves in with one another. But it really exists in this realm of like work that they are needing to continue to do on themselves, personal growth and healing that allows them to reach more into embodying that vibration of the best version of themselves that they saw mirrored and reflected to them through you. They also say we are strongly connected in the 5D. So again, this draw towards you when they have these highlights or these victories or these times where they feel very proud of themselves, where they've made movement, they've hit some milestones in their life, they're wanting to celebrate with you. You may be kind of receiving a lot of telepathic messages from them, dreams maybe on the increase, on the rise. It feels that they are very, very consciously aware of this energetic bond between the two of you. Maybe they have looked into twin flames and soulmates, and that is something that resonates with them. Otherwise, it's something where, if they're maybe just not at that level of their journey, of their experience, maybe that's not a road that they are going to go down. Maybe you'll be the one to sort of bring them up to speed with all of that, these concepts in the future when the time is right. Nevertheless, whatever the specifics, they are feeling very much drawn to you, very attached to you, very connected to you, but not in an unhealthy manner, almost from this very high vibrational place of allowance. It's the freedom to grow. It's the freedom to explore. It's the sense of, no matter what has happened between the two of you in the past, that they feel you're somebody that has their best interests at heart. They may have been very resistant to the type of love you had offered, or, even just, again, the intensity and nature of things, what was awakened or activated or stirred within them. It could have been very alluring and at the same time very triggering for them. And as much as they have run and kind of pushed away from you in the past, this feels like somebody who's being pulled back in from the higher self. They are recognizing that there is a greater significance, a greater part that the two of you play in one another's lives, and that the story between the two of you still has some unfinished lines left to be written. And they also say, am I deserving of your love? So they may be kind of working their way through a little bit of a lack mentality at this point in time, coming into this awareness and almost this energy of being very humbled, where they've been shown kind of their actions in the past, the vibration, the level they were operating at, and sort of the consequences that yielded through that kind of heart-centered awareness. It's almost this idea of like a double-edged sword, that it's very much showing them the path of love, but also all the obstructions and blockages and kind of the times when the path of fear was chosen, and how that is sort of like self-sabotage, or it's complicated matters, or it's reciprocated, not exactly the best vibration of what was offered, presented, or given. And so it's a struggle for this person to kind of pick up the pieces, rebuild themselves, move forward in this energy of confidence, a little bit of doubt that they may have at this point in time, if the past can be fixed, if the history between the two of you is just all there's going to be to the story. There's some hopefulness. They feel very attached to you, very tied to you, very drawn to you energetically. But in the 3D sense, it feels that there is still some work that they are needing to do, some battles they are needing to face to become victorious, to move beyond, to detach from narratives within themselves, or even circumstances or other connections, friends, family, or romance in their current reality that stand in the way of being able to come to you with open arms, with something of value and worth to present and reciprocate with you. They also say, stop focusing on me and go after your dreams. So they are really encouraging you to continue working towards your own abundance, healing, and happiness. Energetically, they feel that your joy is very contagious to them. You represent this light, this beacon that is guiding them, urging them, pushing them forward through their own process of becoming. They are also really acknowledging here that this process for themselves, the battles they are needing to face, this may be something which, although they've made a lot of substantial progress, they still have a long way to go. As much as they are kind of yearning to create change in the circumstance, there's other things they are needing to tend to in their own kind of reality and experience, things that are needing to be moved away from, other seeds that they've planted which need time to be tended and need to harvest and to really become part of a new foundation before they feel ready to bring you something by way of change, by way of healing, by way of restoration. So rather than holding in, resting in place, kind of putting your life on hold, releasing the situation to the time and manner that it's meant to, change will occur. Keep growing and they will meet you further along the path. And they also say it's just easier to wear a mask. So very interesting. We've got that idea of mask, and then here in this attachment card, and she's taking off the mask. So still some work that they are needing to do to break free from some patterns and tendencies and trends. It feels that it's almost a struggle at this point in time in this liminal space to kind of do what they need to do, kind of maintain whatever sort of structures have to be in place as far as work, their living situation, that there's only so much that they can change. They're trying not to completely be sort of set off kilter, off balance. They're trying to keep some kind of stability, move forward in a way that is comfortable and feels very safe for them. So they don't feel quite ready to kind of come out of the shadows to express to you in a material sense all the changes that have occurred. But on the internal realm, very quietly, these things are happening. Very slowly, they are starting to exert themselves, present this authentic version of them more out into the material reality. And when the time is right, this really feels that they will come out of hiding, present something, make some kind of communication towards you, and an effort to rebuild, or to at least present themselves in a different vibration than what you were last dealing with. They also say, I can't let go of the 3D. So again, this idea of certain things that they are maybe just needing to, they're needing to hold on to right now. Obviously, this can relate to, if they're feeling called to move in another direction in terms of what they do for work, they still need to keep their current job in order to pay their bills. They can't just kind of drop everything and move in a new direction. If there's other kind of entanglements or relationships that they are in, it's not so easy to just kind of extract themselves from that. There may be kind of contracts in place. There may be kind of a process of, in a diplomatic way, maybe due to financial reasons, or again, some kind of a contract or commitment they are in with somebody, that there's a process. There's a waiting period until they are free, until they are available to kind of take steps to you. Other people that are needing to be considered. Maybe they've got kids with somebody, and so that's a factor as well, where they're needing to kind of hold on and attend to certain duties and responsibilities that they have, while still also kind of exploring and growing into this new version of self that has been awakened, and kind of going with the flow of this ascension or awakening journey that they are on. So it's a process still of self-mastery, a lot of battles that they are needing to face still, a lot of victory that they have had, progress has been made, there's been an arc or a shift in this narrative, in this person's story. This is someone who has moved out of the energy of kind of pushing and running and resistance, and the attention, the energy, the effort and action is being directed in the direction of rebuilding, of participating, of being open to transformation, trying to kind of maintain control as much as possible, wanting to bring forth something to you, but also feeling that the timing is not quite right for that. There's other sort of processes of change that need to take place internally and externally before they can come to you with open arms in a changed energy and with something solid and reliable to offer to you. So I'm going to take a look now at this card, the guidance from Spirit about the situation. And we have letting go, resistance. This cycle has ended and it's time to let go to experience new growth. It is vital to have closure and gratitude for the situation to make room for new things to enter. Go within to find what is holding you back. Change is necessary in this situation. So very interesting. We've got that bridge here, and that was really coming through with someone who may have like burned the bridge with you or been in that process of just, kind of moving forward and leaving a lot of wreckage in their past. They are in the process of building a new way forward for themselves, and you are really also guided to release an expectation of the timing and manner in which this person may or may not return to your life. The important thing is that you move forward. Maybe this reading serves as that confirmation that they are going through their process of personal transformation. They are leaning into the direction of constructing something better, but it will take time before they are in a place of readiness to present themselves to you in a changed vibration. In the meantime, it's important that you, continue to work on your own sort of healing and personal growth. You continue to extract the lessons out of this experience. Seek to, uncover any sort of limiting beliefs and behaviors or, relationships, things you're participating in that just kind of gum up your vibration or really keep you in a state of doubt or feeling very low, very weighed down. Taking your time with the process though, allowing change to happen very organically, not expecting overnight change, but looking at situations of personal growth as, gradual, as something that needs to happen organically. It's more of a marathon than a race. Now's the time to really seek within any kind of wounds or blockages concerning what has happened with this person, other kind of areas of your life, of your romantic life, trends, tendencies, other connections that you have in general, belief systems that you have, self-talk. Now's the time to let these things go. Fill that void and space with something more positive, the expectation of better. The history that you have experienced need not dictate the future of what you are moving toward. But it's really up to you, just as this person is needing to be very proactive, and it feels like is being proactive in a major way in this sense. You're encouraged to do the same. This is bringing forth the idea as well of parallel paths. And again, this guidance to continue to press forward, to continue to seek to grow and heal and become more abundant, have that glow and that light that you are finding and you're cultivating within yourself, seeking to emanate that out into your material experiences, trusting that as you live in that authenticity, as you live in that place of balance with your light and your shadow, the beacon that you are emitting will call to this person in the time and manner that they are meant to, if that is part of your kind of story with each other, of sort of the ultimate purpose or what you both choose in this situation, that they will find you further along the path. So I'm going to get some initials, and this can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or it could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. I've got U, N, K, J, D, H, C, O, F, and T. So those are your messages, group 3. I hope they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer them through my Etsy shop, and there's a link in the description box of the video for that. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of that out as well. I'm also running a sale in my Etsy shop now through the end of the month of February. Everything is marked down 15%. So if you've been considering getting a reading with me, or you've had your eye on something handmade that I sell there, now would be the time to take advantage of that sale, as I don't often run sales. I've also launched a second channel here on YouTube. It's called Lady of the Dawn Tarot, and there's a link in the description box as well as in the channel section of my page for that. The format there's a little different from here. I do pick-a-cards as well as general energy check-ins, but the topics that I cover are related to spirituality, wellness, ascension, and self-love. So if any of that sounds interesting, I invite you to check that channel out. I thank you for your support there, as well as for your continued support here on this channel. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.